Welcome back to the Secret Files. Today, we won't just see the monsters. We will feel the painful heartbeat inside their chests. The underworld of the Dogman isn't just about blood and brutality. Sometimes, it is an absolute tragedy of humanity. But where personal tragedy ends, war begins. We move from tears in a garage to firepower on the battlefield. For the first time, you will see regular military units deployed to lay siege to a high-value Dogman target. When love cannot break the curse, ammunition will speak. From a clumsy, agonizing embrace to the cold perimeter of a sniper team, today we witness the full brutality of the war between man and wolf. Urban predator, the alleyway encounter. Do you still believe that high-pressure streetlights and concrete walls are safe shields? Watch this surveillance footage from a deserted alley to see how laughable that naivety is. Under the sickly yellow streetlight, a creature straight out of a nightmare stands tall in the heart of the city. Observe closely the dark silhouette cast upon the pavement. That is not a drunkard or a thief. The head with perked pointed ears, the protruding long snout, and especially the characteristic bent leg structure of a beast betray it. The monster seems disoriented. It freezes, spreading its arms warily and turning its head to scan around the dumpsters and cold brick walls. It seems the stench of the city has confused its keen sense of smell. After a few seconds of hesitation and realizing it has ventured too deep into human territory, it decides to retreat. Look at how it turns around and strides back into the darkness from which it was born. Its gait is fluid, agile, and completely silent, in stark contrast to the bulk of its body. The appearance of a werewolf in a small alley proves they have adapted and are expanding their hunting grounds. They are no longer hiding in the deep woods. They are wandering right under your window, navigating this concrete maze. And next time, instead of turning away, maybe it will find your back door left ajar. Confident Dogman walks out of dark mine shaft. Humanity's most primal fear has always stemmed from dark caves. And this is why. At an abandoned mine shaft, just as dusk settles, a camera captured the moment something decided to leave its den. Look at the bizarre physique of this creature. It isn't bulky like a bear, but carries the silhouette of a looming executioner. Its body is tall, gaunt yet wiry, distinguished most by those oversized long arms hanging down almost to the ground, swinging with every step. This deformed body structure is perfectly designed for scaling sheer cliffs and snatching prey from a distance. What chills the spine is its demeanor. It isn't sneaking, it isn't scouting. It steps out of the cave with the absolute confidence of a ruler. The gait is leisurely and poised, as if it knows that in this desolate wasteland, nothing, not even humans with guns, is enough to concern it. It has just awakened after a long day, and now the feast begins. Military capture the Dogman. I found the redacted coordinates, Operation Clean Sweep, deep in the Bitterroot Forest, Montana. This isn't sci-fi. This is a real-life military-grade suppression protocol. Look closely at the formation. Dozens of CBRN soldiers form an inescapable ring, restraining the massive monster with a heavy-duty net. The terrifying weapon isn't bullets, but hoses, spraying a torrent of green biological gas directly into the beast's face. This neurotoxin is specifically designed to shut down a Dogman's nervous system, causing it to collapse instantly. How did they hide an army? Remember the controlled burn in Bitterroot last year? That was the perfect smokescreen for armored trucks to roll in and clean up. They aren't killing it. They are capturing it for study. And believe me, a fate inside a lab is 1,000 times worse than death. Stalker in the Mist, the Cannock Chase Incident. Welcome to Cannock Chase Forest, UK, the holy land of disappearances and blood-curdling howls. do not let the tranquility of this misty trail deceive you. Look straight to the end of the path, where the fog is thickest. Something is standing right in the middle of the way, dark and looming like a messenger of death. That is not a dry tree stump or an optical illusion. Look at its broad shoulder structure and long arms hanging down to its knees. It stands motionless, patient as a stone statue, but those eyes are locked tight on the lens. The silence of the forest right now is not peace. It is the breath held before the storm. And then the nightmare begins. That dark shadow has no intention of leaving. Observe its posture closely. Head slightly lowered, center of gravity shifted forward. That is the stance of a sprinter at the starting line. It has finished calculating the distance. In the next split second, this monster will tear through the mist and charge toward you with the speed of an F1 race car. When you see it standing still, that is the moment it is deciding which part of you to eat first. Daylight, nightmare, Dogman in the backyard. Do you think that wooden fence was built to keep livestock in or to keep things out? Look at this brazen intruder. In broad daylight, a pitch-black Dogman stands proudly right in a farm's backyard. It isn't even trying to hide. Look at its arrogant bipedal stance next to the fence, displaying the powerful digitigrade legs of a predator. That thick, matted fur and the unmistakable wolf head staring straight at the cameraman are the clearest proof that nature is laughing in our faces. It stands there with terrifying calmness, as if it is the true owner of this land, not the poor farmer. Suppose you step out onto your porch this morning, coffee in hand, ready for some fresh air, and see this 7-foot-tall guest waiting in your backyard. What would you do? Run inside, lock the door, and pray? Or accept the truth that prey can never outrun the hunter? Leave a comment and let me know how strong your survival instinct really is. Dogman savors prey like a human. Do you think monsters always eat like frenzied meat grinders? Wrong. Look at this haunting footage. A Dogman is essentially doing a mukbang video in the middle of the silent night forest. What chills the viewer to the bone isn't what it's eating, a slab of slimy raw meat, but how it's eating. It doesn't bury its snout in the dirt to tear at the prey like a dog or wolf. Look closely at its dexterous hands. It uses both hands to lift the food to its mouth in a bizarrely neat and civilized manner. Focus on its jaw movement. Instead of swallowing whole, it chews slowly and deliberately, savoring every fiber of meat with the pace of a human enjoying dinner at a 5-star restaurant. The flash reveals glistening white, razor-sharp teeth, but they are arranged perfectly evenly, unlike the chaotic maw of a wild beast. This calmness in eating betrays a higher intelligence hiding behind the beastly form. It isn't driven by instinctual starvation. It is savoring its reward with the arrogance of the one atop the food chain. Hunter becomes the hunted, bear. Track leads to tall Dogman. Arrogance is the best seasoning for a monster's dinner. Look at this cameraman. He is convinced he is tracking a large black bear based on the footprint deeply embedded in the mud. 5 clear toes, razor-sharp claws digging into the wet clay. A perfect trophy for any hunter. But stop and turn your brain on. Look closely at its movement pattern on the trail. Bears are quadrupeds. They waddle with a wide gait, leaving 2 parallel or diagonal tracks. But this thing, it walks in a perfect straight line. Tightrope walking. Heel striking hard, striding evenly and linearly like a model on a catwalk. This is the characteristic sign of a bipedal creature. He lifts his eyes from the ground, and that is when the script flips. The tracks don't lead to a bear den. They lead straight to an old pine tree, where a towering, gangly black shadow stands motionless, blending perfectly with the rough bark. That is no bear. No bear can stand upright with such an elongated spine, narrow shoulders, and a height exceeding 8 feet. It isn't hiding out of fear. It stands there, immobile and patient, watching its prey march itself to the execution ground. This monster possesses terrifying intelligence. It knows how to leave false trails to pique human curiosity. The moment you realize it's not a bear is the moment you realize you've stepped too deep into the trap set by this apex predator. Massive Dogman face intruder in abandoned Ohio barn. Urban explorers always crave finding ghosts in ruins, but at a derelict barn in rural Ohio, what they found was worse than death. Look through that thick layer of dust. A massive, dark figure stands tall, completely dominating the cramped space. It's not a bear. Bears don't have that grotesque hunched back and those spindly, elongated legs. It stands motionless like a malignant tumor of the darkness, waiting for prey to walk into the trap. But here is the heart-stopping moment, when it knows it's been spotted. It doesn't panic. It doesn't flee. Watch the way it rotates its body slowly, with terrifying calmness. That is the arrogance of an apex predator who knows exactly who controls the game. As its face is revealed in the dim light, cold glowing eyes lock tight onto the lens. A long snout full of razor-sharp teeth. A coat of pitch-black fur that swallows the light. It doesn't roar. It just stares. A gaze that pierces the bone, daring the witness to move even a single finger. In this deadly room, its silence is louder than any roar. The absurd. Standoff, Dogman versus chicken in Kentucky. We are at land between the lakes, Kentucky, the mecca of notorious encounters. But today, instead of gore, the camera captures a moment so absurd it's laughable. Glue your eyes to the main subject. A massive Dogman standing tall in broad daylight. Forget the grass. Look straight at its terrifying biological structure. The bulging muscles in its chest and those powerful digitigrade legs reveal a perfect killing machine. It stands upright on 2 legs, over 7 feet tall, carrying the authoritative presence of an entity that dominates the forest. And its opponent? A wild chicken. Yes, a tiny chicken running around, flapping its wings, taunting death right under the Reaper's claws. The size contrast is insane. The monster doesn't lunge. It simply bows its head, leaning down to watch the frail creature with a mix of curiosity and absolute contempt. Why doesn't it eat? Not because it's gentle. This is the characteristic arrogance of an apex predator. To it, this chicken is too small to be considered food. It is merely a toy. That chicken survives not because it is brave, but because the giant allows it to live for entertainment. But don't let this freakish calmness fool you. If you replace that chicken with a human, what the Dogman would see is a feast, not a joke. The wolf gene awakens. Vietnam's living evidence. Gin Gon, a Thai Bin Huo, Tumpin 503, to Vietnam, where a TikTok clip has sent shockwaves through the online community. This isn't Halloween makeup or CGI. Look straight at this boy's face next to his mother. A thick layer of dark hair covers his entire forehead, cheeks and nose, blurring the line between human and beast. Modern medicine quickly labels it werewolf syndrome, hypertrichosis, a rare genetic mutation. But push those textbook theories aside and think. Remember the man writhing in transformation in video number 21? Why does the human body contain a genetic code capable of triggering such perfect fur growth? This isn't merely a disease. From my perspective, this is ancient genetic residue. The existence of this boy is living proof that the Dogman gene is not alien. It is actually dormant, right inside our own DNA double helix. Nature doesn't make random mistakes. It is warning us that the beast has never truly left the human. The monster we fear out there is actually hiding right in your flesh and blood, just waiting for an accidental flip of nature's switch to rise up and take over the host. Massive dire wolf caught patrolling the Yukon wilderness. Yukon, Canada, where nature still keeps deadly secrets. A trail cam set deep in the dense forest has captured the silhouette of a monster that science claims went extinct 10,000 years ago. Glue your eyes to this massive bulk of muscle gliding through the night. Do not be naive enough to think this is a gray wolf or a coyote. Look at the terrifying thickness of that neck and the rippling muscles, like cold steel, around its shoulders and hind thighs. No modern wolf achieves such a tank-like body ratio. It bears the perfect silhouette of the Canis diurus, dire wolf, the prehistoric giants that once ruled the Ice Age. Observe its gait closely. It isn't running wild from hunger. It is patrolling its territory. Each step is placed with power, its head pointed straight forward to sniff and filter out the scent of strangers. The scariest theory? This is actually a dogman moving in quadrupedal mode to stay better hidden. A killer the size of a bear, but with the brutal instincts of a canine. If you hear these heavy footsteps outside your tent, don't pray it's a bear. Because bears, at least, know fear of noise. This giant knows nothing of the sort. Fearless house. Cat chases away. Giant wolf in Minnesota. They whisper that monsters are fearless killing machines. But this doorbell camera footage from a home in St. Paul, Minnesota, is a slap in the face to anyone who worships raw muscle power. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't the biggest thing. Observe the intruder closely. A massive gray wolf, or quite possibly a juvenile dogman, sneaks up the porch steps with glowing, murderous eyes. With those jaws, it could crush anything. But the gatekeeper tonight isn't a special forces soldier. It's a fat tabby cat lazily lounging on the mat. The familiar bloody script is torn apart right at this moment. When the monster bends down, the cat doesn't cower. It explodes, launching a thunderous slap straight at the enemy's face at lightning speed. Look at the humiliating reaction of the king of the forest. It flinches violently, its front paws flailing as it nearly falls backward in panic. This beast didn't run because of pain, it ran because of shock. It is used to prey running away, not fighting back. This cat teaches us a lesson. In the fight for survival, size is just a number. Pure, crazy attitude is what decides who controls the game. Terrifying. Dogman. Grins into camera. At backyard. Well, the safety line in Black Forest, Colorado is terrifyingly thin. A rancher heard strange noises near the old well, and when he checked the camera, what hit him wasn't a bear or a thief, but a nightmare laughing at him. Look straight at this manic face. The monster lunges up onto the well rim, shoving its face right into the lens with eyes wide open and teeth bared in a challenging grin. This is not the look of a thirsty wild animal. This is the expression of a psychopath absolutely thrilled to find a new toy. The intelligence radiating from that direct stare is proof that it knows exactly that it is being filmed. The horror escalates when it displays its biological weaponry. When it opens its mouth fully, you can see the bloody maw and fangs long enough to crush a human skull like an egg. The arrogance is palpable as it casually looks down to inspect the bottom of the well, treating this backyard like its own private territory without any fear of the lights. This action is an insult to human ownership. If you hear the well chain rattling tonight, do not be foolish enough to step out, because this butcher didn't come just to ask for water. The stroll of death. Dogman spots you in the mist. Ocala National Forest. Florida has never been a place for the faint of heart. The thick early morning fog doesn't just hide the path. It serves as the perfect velvet curtain for the performance of a dark entity. Look at the looming black figure moving amongst these slender trees. It shows none of the hurried panic of an animal fleeing a hunter. On the contrary, its gait is leisurely, arms hanging low, steps solid and heavy like a landlord inspecting his estate. But here is the moment that freezes the blood in your veins. It stops and turns around. It wasn't a coincidence that it turned at that exact second. It heard the shutter click, the heartbeat, perhaps even smelled the cameraman's fear from 100 yards away. That pitch-black, cold face staring straight into the lens is a silent but ironclad warning. It doesn't attack immediately because it knows you aren't a threat. To it, you're just a curious spectator filming your own demise. Suppose you were standing behind that tree and locked eyes with this thing. Would your legs still have the strength to run, or would you stand rooted to the spot, accepting your fate as its next plaything? The conclusion of today's file leaves a bitter aftertaste rather than just fear. We have seen brutal killing machines, but we have also seen a monstrous husband desperately trying to embrace his wife. This leads to a hard-to-swallow truth about the Dogman. They are not mindless beasts, but chaotic entities where the human and the wolf are dancing together. The greatest lesson here is the contradiction that is strangely harmonious. The fur and claws represent primal strength, the brutal survival instinct of the wolf. But deep within those glowing eyes remain the logic, memories, and emotions of a human. The wolf provides the power to dominate the forest, while the human provides the intellect to manipulate fear. They do not cancel each other out, they sympathize. The husband in the garage didn't kill his wife because the human held back the wolf's claws. The dogman mocking the chicken did so because human intelligence allowed it to find amusement in arrogance. Perhaps being a dogman is not a curse, but a painful evolution, where man is forced to learn to live with the monster inside, not to suppress it, but to become an entity more perfect and terrifying than any other species on Earth.